Welcome back to part 2 of the BFC podcast featuring Peter Miller. This episode is brought to you by Brooklyn Fishing Club Apparel, made by urban anglers for urban anglers. We have new designs in stock, and many of the items in our shop are on sale for a limited time. Pretty much everything we print is limited edition. Once it's sold out, that's it. With the holidays around the corner, our gear makes for the perfect gift for the angler in your life or yourself. Visit brooklynfishingclub.com/shop to see what we have in stock right now. All clothing sales go towards funding our club. Thank you to everyone who's purchased gear already. Without you, we wouldn't be able to grow as an organization. Without further ado, here's the rest of my conversation with Peter Miller. What's the sketchiest situation you've ever been in offshore?
Okay.
Or second question to that, while traveling, because I know you've been to some wild places.
Well, that's right. The story I have for you is both those.
Okay, cool.
1990, my buddy Kit and I go to the IGFA auction in Palm Beach, and they say, all right, Costa Rica trip to stay on a liveaboard, and there's going to be a sport, like a small center console 32 tied up to it that they're going to tow along, and you'll be able to fish and then come back and eat at night and have breakfast for you, whatever, 3 days, blah, blah, blah. So my buddy Kit and I spent $1,500, and it was a great deal. We thought it was all our college money, and we flew to Costa Rica, got picked up in a, I don't know, Land Cruiser, kind of the old school Costa Rica style Land Cruisers. And the roads were nasty, and we bounced our way all the way to Capos and Tamarindo. And we stayed at a place, I can't remember, I think it was called the Tamarindo Hotel. And in the morning, it was all surfers or fishermen. So the surfers are going by like, yo, what's up, brah? Kit and I are like carrying like 400 pounds of like reels and rods and like rod cases. We thought we had to bring our own stuff. And we get on, we jump on the boat. We got to this mothership that we'd ride on. And then after a couple days, the guy that ran the mothership was the owner, and his son wasn't around. Apparently his son was a cool guy, and he was not. So one night we came back late because we hooked up with a Marlin, and we showed up after dinner had been served. And there were like maybe 20, 30 people, like all couples. And then my buddy and I. So it was like all like male, female couples, and my buddy Kit and I just fishing. And big suitcases. We're staying in this little room, and we go into the kitchen. We're like, hey, we just got back. We're starving. Like, what's for dinner? And the guy comes in. He goes, no dinner for you. And we're like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're late. You missed dinner. And you'll have to wait till tomorrow morning like everyone else, and we can't do anything. I'm like, you got to be kidding. We must have like a cantaloupe or something, or like something we can eat. And he goes, no. So Kit and I go to our rooms, and then we're like, well, I guess we'll go to the bar. And we go to the bar, and the bartender's like, yeah, man, the owner's a real jerk, isn't he? I'm like, yeah, he's the worst. And he goes, yeah, he's a real asshole, isn't he? I'm like, oh, he's a fucking asshole. Like the worst I've ever heard. Turns out the bartender is his best friend.
Oh.
So he was like egging me on. So all of a sudden, the owner becomes drunk beyond belief, like super raging alcoholic. And now he hears this, and now he's looking for me and Kit, and he's carrying a gun around this like yacht, like this like liveaboard. And the captain comes to us like with his eyes like wide open, like buckwheat on Little Rascals. And he comes up to us. He goes, guys, we got to get out of here. I'm like, what are we talking about? He goes, we got trouble. He goes, he wants to kill you guys. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. He goes, Peter, pack your shit now and get off the boat with us. We're going to have the boat on the back of the boat. You and Kit, pack your stuff up. We're going to go down this back hallway. We're going to untie, not turn the engine on, and we're going to drift off because we're motoring at night to the next destination, and we're going to like find our way somewhere. And Kit and I like got cold. When you get scared, you get like cold and shaky.
Yeah.
We were like cold and shaky. We packed our bags, and we're like running down this gangplank to like get to this boat. And we're like literally like, oh my God, are we going to get murdered on this boat in the middle of Costa Rica, like 50 miles offshore? Anyway, we take all our stuff. We get on the boat, we untie, and we drift off, and he starts the motors, and we're like looking to see if he can see us. He doesn't. And we motor to Capos and Costa Rica. And it took us, I want to say, 2 hours to get to land. And when we get to land, the craziest thing happened. We have to climb up this banana boat dock, which is like steps that are like, I mean, it's like basically like climbing like straight up in the air, like no angle. It was like a 80-degree ladder made out of metal that was slippery, and we must have like 70-pound bags, like suitcases as big as you can make them, with rod cases and reels and whatever. So we get to the top of this thing. We're not supposed to be docked there. It was not meant for little boats, and little boats get banged around in this thing. And I come up and I see this guy sitting on a cleat, like a giant cleat, like the size of like a sofa. And I look at him. I go, Tim? And he goes, hey, Peter, what are you doing here? And I'm like, you would not believe the story I'm about to tell you. And it turns out he was the founder and originator of Fins and Feathers in Guatemala, where you went fly fishing for sailfish. And he happened to be there. He's a high-powered attorney in Miami, and he happened to be having a drink at 4 o'clock in the morning for some reason on a cleat on a dock in Capos. And he goes, hey, jump in the back of my truck. I'll go find you a hotel. He goes, the Four Seasons is right off the road. I'm like, oh, that sounds great. I don't really have any money, but that sounds great. And then they have no room, and we're in this Toyota truck banging around in the back, and we wind up going to a hotel that has screen windows, no AC, no hot water, and like a ceiling fan that like wobbles back and forth like one of those like, those drug movies, like Caught, like selling drugs abroad. Like
locked up
and here
abroad.
we are. Yeah. And I'm looking at the ceiling fan going bong, 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 and the metal strings swinging. And I'm like, oh my God. And then chickens are like roosters, shit outside the door. People are leaned up against their screen having conversations at 5 a.m. I'm thinking we're going to die the whole night. And then the next morning, it's time to shower. And it was like ice cold water, and it was refreshing, but still scary. And we survived. Somehow we survived.
That's amazing. Did you ever see the guy with the gun ever again in your life?
No, but I got back to Miami. I'm like, listen, my buddy's in the newspaper business, and he's got 32 newspapers. And if you don't refund our $1,500, we're going to put it in every newspaper that this boat that you're on is the worst thing that ever happened, and nobody will ever go on your boat again. So we got a check in the mail for $1,500. We let it ride, and that was it. We got and then we get back to San Jose the next day to fly out, and Kit and I haven't not eaten in like days. So Kit says to me, he goes, Peter, let's order everything on the menu. And he's in his bed, I'm in my bed, and we're like comfortable. I'm like, oh my God, like shrimp, lobster, like cheesecake, chocolate cake, whatever. And we ate so much shit, and we got food poisoning, like
God,
like it was ridiculous. And we went online to go through customs the next morning.
Did the food poison? I was about to say, did the food poisoning kick in before on the plane or after?
It kicked in during check-in.
Oh my God.
Like we were checking in, and it was like 110 degrees in a room with the doors closed, and we're all like waving our passports. And I'm like, oh my God, Kit. He's like, Pete, I don't give a shit if I have to wait online again. I have to go shit. I have to run out of here. He's like, hold my place in line. And I'm holding his reels that weighed like 1,000 pounds. And they still had the screws in them for the reel seats digging into my leg.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm walking forward. So he comes in, then it's my turn. By the time we got on the plane, honestly, I must have gone up and down that aisle 15 times by the time we landed in Miami.
Oh my God, you destroyed that plane.
We destroyed the plane.
You destroyed. Oh my God, you must have been getting some looks. I'm sure people finally caught on. They're like, this guy, what's he doing?
They were like, these boys got them. These boys got them. They supposed to squirt something fierce.
Oh my God, that reminds me of the time I went on a 72-hour fishing bender with Alberto. And I got on the plane on the way home, hadn't showered in 3 days, fishing hard for 3 days. I ordered one beer, passed out after one sip. I wake up, as we're landing, and my shorts are soaking wet. I was wearing mesh shorts on the plane. I was soaked to my taint,
Oh
and
my
I
God.
smelled so bad. And when I stood up to get my bags, you should have seen, like, every eye on the plane was just glaring at me. Like, I reeked. I just smelled. I probably smelled like a complete street person.
Yeah,
Um,
like a homeless guy, like in a doorway somewhere that you
yeah,
need to get
yeah,
past. And you're
and
like, can I step
yeah,
over?
but exactly. But you know what? It was worth it. Anyway,
Well, can we get back to the word
yeah.
taint? I mean, that's you don't really hear taint very often.
It's in New
So good
York.
on you,
It's in
man.
New York slang, bro. I'll put you onto
Oh
it
yeah,
later. I'll put
I
you
know,
onto
I
it.
know. I don't hear it often. It's nice to hear. It's very
Yeah,
refreshing. Thank you.
they have a different name for it down in Florida. I think they call it the grundle. I don't know.
Oh, I didn't know
But
that. That's
and
good to know.
yeah, yeah, add that to your repertoire of vocab. And, and
Grundle, isn't that like Bumble? Isn't that like one of
oh,
the
that's a
new
different
websites?
site.
Okay.
That's on 4chan. You don't want to go on the Grundle site on 4chan.
Okay. All right. Good. I'll
Anyway,
stay off it.
yeah, I know you spend a lot of time on the dark web. Anyway,
Yeah.
next question is everybody loses fish, right? Even the best of us. What was your most disappointing loss?
Let's see. I mean, I know there's been some big bass where I like literally like cry over. Like I'm like, oh my God, he
Like
shook off
literally
like
shed
right there.
tears.
Um,
Have you ever cried over losing
Tuna.
a fish? Just be
Um,
honest. I have a couple
I don't know if
times.
I've cried, but I would say probably like a
Teared
yellowfin
up,
tuna that we
teared
fought for
up.
like, uh,
Maybe.
yeah, maybe a little bit just in real quiet. I get real quiet.
Yeah,
Like I'm not a guy
yeah.
that breaks rods and screams, and
Oh,
I do
we have a lot
stomp
in
a little
common,
bit.
man. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I was just trout fishing last spring, and I was taking my buddy to the same spot, and showing him a new spot, and he's catching 2 to 3 Lakers every session, and I'm catching nothing. One thing led to the next. I ended up throwing 2 rods into the lake. Ended up getting them both back. Club members caught them for me, but yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah, you know how it gets, though. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. It gets pretty upsetting.
pretty
It's pretty
heartbreaking,
upsetting.
man. When you put it all in, and it's part of the game, though. But yeah,
Yeah, I think fighting a tuna or a sword for like 2 to 3 hours, and you're close, and the lead, like the one, like the 100 foot, like kind of like top shot is on there. You got your braid, and you got your top shot coming, and your leader's next, and knots coming in and out through the guide, and you've been doing it, and you drank like 7 waters, and you're so dehydrated from it. You haven't even used the bath. You couldn't use the bathroom for like a full day afterwards. And that kind of moment where the just rod just pops up. And the worst thing of all, like I always want to see like a missing hook. I'll be like, well, he chafed through, guys. Nothing I
yeah,
could do.
yeah.
But when a hook comes back, it's like,
Oh,
oh, kill me now.
yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that's probably a tunas and swords. Those are probably my biggest, like, long fight pop offs. And it's like, oh, I wonder how big it was.
Have you ever
I
lost
wish I
one where
could
you
see
saw the
it.
color and you were like, that was fucking huge, and I lost it? Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah, I would say largemouth bass, like on my paddleboard on the lake, standing there, and I have this jig I buy through Castmaster, and the hooks are really kind of bendy. They really like open up, and if you change the hooks to like like a harder wire or stiffer wire, it doesn't fall properly. So
Hmm.
it's like you almost have to risk the shitty hook to get the bite to
Yep.
make it fall properly, and then just pray, and you got to pray that you pin their mouth shut with a treble hook, and that's the only way you're going to catch it, because if it's one hook, they come up and shake and they're off. And I had like a 9 pound bass
Oh,
on my paddleboard come up and shake, and I was like, pew, and I was like, oh, there's my lure, bye bass. And I'm like, you can't really explain it. You can't explain it to
oh
anybody.
man, no, you definitely can't. Would you rather lose a big fish without seeing it or see it?
You always want to see it. Honestly,
Yeah,
I just want to see what I'm dealing with. I want to make sure it's not a shark,
gotcha,
because some of
gotcha.
those fights, they go straight up and down like a tuna. They pinwheel. and you're like, oh my God, it's got to be him. It's got to be him. I feel head shakes. And then all of a sudden you see like a big giant, like sharp nose, like 250-pound shark. And you're like, oh shit. Well, at least I knew it was a shark. And,
Yeah.
I got some kind of identification. So yeah, I'd rather identify it
Rather
before
see it.
losing it. Yeah. Cause that
Yeah.
mystery is like, it'll keep you up at night.
Oh, definitely. Keep you up for days.
Yeah.
So what fish remain on your bucket list? Like, what do you like, especially with the Uncharted Waters series? Like, what are you hoping to catch in the future that you haven't already?
Well, I didn't, do it in a timely fashion, but I'm one fish away from the Royal Grand Slam. I'm a black marlin away because I don't fish the Pacific much,
So
and
when are you
that's where
going
they are.
to Cairns, Australia?
Yeah, I could go
Gotta
there
go to
or go to
Cairns, man.
Panama.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
cans or
Cairns gets those granders. Oh, you know what site you should check out, which you might know already? Granderwatch.com.
no, I don't know it.
Oh, dude, check it out. The one thing I don't like about it is that it does show a good amount of dead marlin, which I don't really endorse. I would love to see all marlin grow to their full potential. Sometimes they get gut hooked or sound, right? And like they do
Yeah,
die. But yeah, granderwatch.com. This guy, I don't even know who he is. He's been keeping track of all the grander marlin caught since I think like 2012 or something. And
wow,
you can see a list of where they're all caught each year. There's one guy on Cape Verde Islands who's caught 3 granders.
wow.
Yeah.
Guy Harvey caught 2 granders in a day.
Guy Harvey. What can't
A
this guy
blue, a
do? What
blue, and
can't
a
he do?
black. I know, I know. I mean, he's timed it right. He's in the right spot at the right time, but I mean, come on, granders. I mean,
Wait,
it's
a
the difference
blue
between
and a black? Two
a
species?
blue and a black.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
he's
Has
got
anyone
him
done that
mounted.
besides him? Jesus.
Yeah, he's got him mounted in St. Pete at his place called, Guy Harvey Outpost, and they always bring us in there and they roll out the red carpet, and I'm always like walking through there, and I'm like, really, 2 granders in one day? That's unbelievable. I can't even imagine. Those fish, I don't even know how they get their heads out of the water. They're so
Right?
big.
Oh my God. We're kind of running out of time here, so I'm going to speed up a
Yeah.
little bit if you don't
Yeah,
mind.
yeah. No problem. No problem.
If you could fish with, and I've never asked, I came up with this question when I was scripting this out. By the way, this is only the second out of the 25 episodes we have now. This is only the second episode I've ever written a script for because I was just like, I want this to be so on point. And I came up with
Yeah.
this question that I've never asked anyone, and I can't believe I haven't asked it. If you could fish with anyone alive or dead, like famous angler like Zane Grey, Ernest Hemingway, to that effect, who would it be?
I'm just trying to think. Like, who would I want to? I get celebrities calling all the time, like, "Hey, Peter, I love your show when we fish."
Yeah,
Hockey
no
players,
celebrities.
wrestlers.
I'm not talking like how
Yeah,
you want to fish with Brad Pitt. I know you've
yeah,
been like
yeah,
DMing him a lot, and he's been leaving you on scene. But like, besides him, who would it be? Let's put it this way:
Oh,
Zane Grey or Hemingway.
I'd have to say Hemingway. Come on.
Same, yeah.
I mean, they're both like, incredible, but I'd say Hemingway would be incredible. What a storyteller, what a fisherman,
And
what a
afterwards you're
character.
getting some weird shit with him. You're gonna like,
Oh yeah, we're gonna be lit like within 30 minutes, within 5 minutes of hitting the dock if we're not already.
I meant to say
You
this
know.
before, man. With the whole Get Lit fishing team, dude, you might have coined the term "lit" before it even became a thing. Did you ever think of
Oh,
that?
we totally did. When we
You
made the
should have
logo and the shirts.
trademarked "lit," man.
Yeah, I have the domain, and I know you guys have your
You
domains and
have
stuff like that,
lit.com
but
or
I have
getlit.com.
I have getlitfishing.com
Dope,
and
dope.
probably get lit. I'm not even sure what I have, to be honest with you. I should probably be more apt, more studious when it comes to that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, going to University of Miami, and the reason I named it Get Lit was because when we went out with our South African mate in Costa Rica, she would be like, he's getting lit, he's lit up, he's, look at him, he's lighting up, he's so lit. And I'm like,
He's
man, I
so
should name
lit.
my boat Get Lit, and it's a double entendre. We
Yeah.
used to get lit back in the day.
Yeah.
And I made a Marlin logo. I kind of knocked it off from like the braid Marlin. You remember the braid
Yeah.
logo? And we had a little joint in his mouth, and that was kind of like our little thing. And people were like going wild over those shirts. And so anyway, that was yeah. We were the kind of we're in the forefront of the lit.
You definitely were. Definitely were. You've been setting trends, man. So you're a big fan of classic cars, right? What do you have in the garage right now? What are you pushing, man?
Right. Yeah. Right now, I have two cars in the garage. I have my two favorites. Like a lot of people collect like 50 cars and they get busy with all the stuff like Jerry Seinfeld and, all these guys with $1 zillion. They could do anything they want. But, me on a limited budget, I was like, I'll be darned if I cannot get my two favorite cars as hard as I work for the past like 30 something years. And I always wanted a convertible 64 Lincoln Continental because my neighbors across the street growing up when I was 10 years old had two of them, and they'd roll them out on a Sunday morning, take the covers off, wipe them down with a whatever, microfiber if there was one back then. They must have had something that they used. And they would get in their car, turn on the radio, go buy a newspaper, go buy bagels and lox and coffee. They'd come back to the house and sit there staring at their cars, eating bagels and lox and coffee. And I'd sit at my window like, man, that is some badass shit. I got it like one day I'm going to do that. So I got my Lincoln and then 64 Lincoln with a baseball stitch, black leather, custom seats and a sound system. Everything works. AC, I got all the light windows are electric, top works. And then I have a car that I kind of got from my daughter back in the day, a young girl seeing a 1968 VW Scooby-Doo bus in seafoam green and white. And, the hula girl on the dashboard and, a little sink and a table and a couch, and it opens up to a bed. It hooks up to like, power. It has a cord, and receptacle. And, those are my two cars. And in between that, I don't give a shit. I could drive around in a broken down, rusty jalopy in between. I don't care as long as I can get there. But those are my cars, and I love them both.
That's awesome, man. I got an idea for your next show.
Yeah.
Road tripping with Peter Miller. You take that VW and just go fish America.
Oh, that could be nice.
Sign me up
Could
as a
be
producer.
simple.
Yeah, nice and simple, Meet up with
Yeah,
different
and have an
people all over.
Invincible waiting for me at each location.
Yeah, we'll
Since
get an
Invincible is my
airdropped.
big sponsor.
We'll get an Invincible airdropped wherever we are.
Yep.
And when you're done with Uncharted Waters, let's do that, man.
I'm ready. I could honestly, I'm like, willing and able to do pretty much anything at this point. I'm always like trying to get to the next level, new ideas, new everything. So I love what's going on right now. The sponsors absolutely love it, and they want, they're doing multi-year contracts, which that's really the key. People ask me, they say, "Hey, Peter, we want you to travel, to explore, to eat, to fish, to be in the outdoors, back to nature, that sort of thing." And honestly, when my show airs, people are like, "You caught some fish, great, but honestly, when you caught that fresh mahi and you cooked it right there on the spot, that to me was like the best." And then someone says, "The fact that you like talk to the locals, like you're like one of the, like you're so cool, like you'll talk to anybody. We love that part." So it's kind of like, immersing yourself in it as much as you can. But, being a fisherman, it's hard to differentiate between like wanting to catch 25 sailfish and like stopping at two instead, because two sailfish, look fine and they look great and it shows everything. But catching, I've gone out and caught 280 marlin in 4 days.
What?
With a fish tank crew. We caught 280 marlin in 3 days, striped marlin, blue marlin, and then sailfish, mixed in a couple sailfish. So we had grand slams, and it was like basically 6, 7 fish on at a time, troll baits. whatever. But I'm like, guys, listen, as much as this is so good and great, it doesn't work for TV because all we're doing is fishing and we're putting out baits and no one's talking. No one's holding a fish on a leader. No one's getting underwater footage. No one's getting like great drone. So let's slow it down, catch a couple, and then check out the locals. Let's go eat. Let's go drink. Let's go, explore.
Yeah,
Let's have an adventure. And that's really what people seem to want to see. And that's what
definitely.
I want to, I like to do, and I want to give it to them. So
Yeah,
that's where I'm at. So I love it.
that's awesome, man. So I have one last question. It came from the story post on our Instagram today from one of our younger followers and one of my good friend's sons, and he wants to know. He's a 8th grader. He wants to know what it's like to be famous.
Well, I honestly, I don't feel like I'm famous. I don't think I'm famous. And I feel like a normal, regular person. I think maybe that's a good thing. And I feel like, I think famous to me is like the guy with like 5 million Instagram followers and he's like a professional athlete and everybody's watching him and everybody has to see him. I feel like I'm kind of like in a niche where like, yeah, I got followers, I got people that are interested, a lot of people that, watch a show and know it everywhere I go. And I guess I don't really think about it, to be honest with you. I appreciate positive people,
Mm-hmm.
and I never look at myself as famous. I never have. I never will. And I just keep chugging away, man, trying to learn, trying to work. And I'm sorry I can't really answer a question like that, but
No, you
I
did.
mean,
That's great.
yeah, I mean, that's truly the way I feel. I never feel famous. Like I feel like I am as regular as it gets, and that's kind of the way it is. What I would tell a young person that is interested in something like this, I always tell them, keep your nose clean, be cool to everybody, because at some point it's going to come back, and it's a small world in this fishing community, and you've got to keep it real, and you've got to work hard. You got to produce good stuff. You've got to do intros to your videos. You got to say who you are, get your name out there, pull your buff down, take your sunglasses off, let people know who you are, and then do a closing, catch your fish, make shorter videos. Don't do a full length, fight, and make it interesting and be funny. Use your personality. But a lot of guys are very serious, and I always tell them, like, get away from that a little bit. Be real, be funny, and do your thing. And I think people really enjoy it.
I totally agree, especially with this, this whole idea of all these youngins wanting to be YouTube sensations, thinking it's going to happen overnight, and it's a whole new wave coming up, Pete. It's crazy, but yeah, we'll deal with them later.
And it's really hard to deal with those guys because, going from winning tournaments and like walking the walk and talking the
and
talk
earning
and
your
then
stripes,
earning your stripes like for 30 something years, and then all of a sudden I'm competing with a guy
He's like
that's
17
catching peacock bass for a living.
Yeah.
And
It's
I'm
like
like,
17,
oh my God,
4 million subs, and you're like, dude,
on a shiner,
Yeah,
and
on
I'm
a
like, oh my
shiner.
God.
Oh my God. I feel you on that, man. But unfortunately, we're out of time. It was such a pleasure and a privilege to talk to you, Pete. I really, really appreciate you calling in tonight and always showing support for BFC.
My pleasure. I love your logos,
James Bond of
man.
fishing, man. James Bond of fishing.
James Bond of fishing. I like that
Coolest
one.
motherfucker in the game.
I love it, man. Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Well, anyway, man, I hope we get to fish together one day, and I'll definitely be talking to you soon.
Okay, man. Thank you so much, Victor. I appreciate it, man.
No problem. Have a good night, Pete.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
If you'd like more info on becoming a member of BFC, visit brooklynfishingclub.com/membership. Like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. And as always, thank you so much for listening.